Hey guys, Jared here again, ECTEC 532. This is video number 2 in my video series about exploring my final project prompt. Now, as you can see here, I've done a little bit of work since you guys last saw me. I have established a very basic and crude map. Now, this is word to the wise, for my first game and map, it will be purely a proof of concept. So what I intend to submit this Wednesday to whoever my peer editor will be is a proof of concept game, and as the name implies, just means something that shows that the idea can work. It is conceptually sound. That is what I am aiming for, and to that I have already done some experimentation on creating event items, which in this game, an event is defined as pretty much anything that happens outside of walking around. Talking to someone is an event. Doing a fight is an event. Going in or out of a building is an event. Transitioning between zones or maps, an event. So that is what I've been working on. Specifically, I have been working on how to set up transitions between different maps. So I'm going to play test the game. Here it is. And so here's my little character, and you may notice that I have a village here, and if I just dropped the village tile, you wouldn't be able to do anything. However, I've set up some transition events, so you get a sound effect, and it transitions to the grassy village, which essentially only has this test house, which again, I've set up a transition, so there you go. We are inside the test house. Everything's a bit sparse, but as you can see, I have it working. So you can go in, and you can go out. Like so. Back out here. And then, curiously enough, I cannot cross the bridge. Still learning. As of the last video that I made for you guys, I forgot to mention that this is my first time ever working with this software. I worked with a much older version for the PlayStation 2 years and years ago, and I never got very far with it. This is the first time I've used this particular variant. It is the latest one produced by this company, and I thought I might talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts here and what exactly I'm trying to do. So here I have my map, and you may or may not have noticed the world map is called the Land of Exchange. My premise here is I'm going to make a basic game for economics. One, because it's a fairly easy topic to cover with this style of game, which is a role-playing game, hence the name RPG. And on the other hand, my bachelor's was in economics, so it's a subject which I have some familiarity with and that I enjoy. So my basic premise is that you see 5 land masses here. Each land mass is composed of a very different environment. One is mountainous, one is flat grassland, one is forested, one is desert, and then one will be kind of a mix. This map setup is not complete. It's just something I put together to show that I can. And on each environment, you're going to have villages of different sizes. And each village, when you go in there, is going to have a series of shops. And each shop is going to have specialty goods that are local to the area that are low in price. But conversely, items that may be difficult to get for that zone will be higher because they have to trade for them. And in this way, people will learn about economics of trade. Free trade, supply and demand, finding an equilibrium point, supply shocks, demand shocks, shifts and changes. If I can get technical enough, I may even explore the elasticity and inelasticity of goods and other subjects that some may touch on microeconomics, but I think I'm going to more focus on macroeconomics I believe the way this game is structured, that it would allow me to work more on the macroeconomic elements of economics than on the micro. And that is for the store element, and of course this is an RPG, so there should be a game, a story. As we know from our studies on gamification in week 7, we know that if you want to gamify something, that it does need to be a game. If you take educational material and you just jam it in something without gamifying it, it fails. For my literature review, for those who may or may not have read it, there's a guy that I really enjoyed reading. His last name is Guy, John Paul Guy. And one of the articles that I read about him, he posits that instead of trying to bend a game to education's will, we should be bending education to a game's will. Because he notices that commercial video games have the ability to do something that we as educators have an extremely hard time doing, which is deliver material that out of context would be incredibly dull, boring, and difficult. But put within context and the parameters of a game, it becomes exciting, highly engaging, and is able to entertain students of all ages for sufficiently long periods of time to complete highly complex tasks. So he posits that we should gamify how we teach versus trying to make a game fit our teaching. And I'm going to kind of go off of his premise. So I will be making this an educational game, but I will be trying to make it as commercial-like as possible, because as the numbers show overwhelmingly, meaning sales figures, commercial games work. Yes, there are quite a bit of duds on the market if you are an avid game enthusiast, but you also know that there are games that wind up selling billions of dollars per year. So that's where I'm going with this. I haven't really thought much further in. I'm working on this. I'm pulling up tutorials off YouTube and building as I go. As I figure out more about this, I will share it with all of you, and I will continue to make videos to apprise of my progress. So for now, Jared Bagwell, signing off.